I have a problem. My problem is that people are dishonest and they wear the jacket. It's called the Itztala D'Rabbanan. They wear a jacket that tells the people that they are rabbis. In my city, suburb of Detroit, a Lubavitcher cannot get fresh meat. The meat comes in fresh, but they're not allowed, the butcher is not allowed by some rabbi instruction, the butcher is not allowed to put the Lubavitch meat out into the fresh meat counter. Why? Because someone who was not a Lubavitcher made a mistake. He thought he was getting Aaron's meat, chicken or beef. It turned out it was Shor Habor, it was Lubavitch. So he asked his so-called Rav, and the Rav paskened they had a kasher's kalim. And since it's such a terrible thing that he had a kasher's kalim, so the butcher at One Stop Kosher on 10 Mile in Greenfield was told that he could no longer put the Lubavitch fresh meat out together with other fresh meat. God forbid a Litvak would eat Shor Habor. By the way, the shochtim are wonderful shochtim. They're the same shochtim basically that shecht for Weissmandel. But because it's under Lubavitch Hashgocha, somehow or other, that makes it treif. Why? Because some Lubavitchers still say Yechid. And they believe that their Rebbe, my Rebbe, is the Moshiach. Now, even if you were to say that this violates some place in the Torah, it doesn't make you a mummer that your shchita is treif. Unless you're going to say that this is Avodah Zorah. The belief in Moshiach is not Avodah Zorah. There's no place in Hilchos Avodah Zorah where you see the inyan of the belief in Moshiach. So you have to say that it's something else. So what does it have to do with Shor Habor? It has to do with any Lubavitcher. How can you be mitzaref me to a Bezdin if I'm a Lubavitcher and then automatically I'm considered an Avodah Zorah? So the stupidity of this is that it's because of the Mashiach issue. That because there's some Lubavitchers who believe that the Rebbe is Mashiach even after his passing, that somehow or other this is idolatry. In Apikoursis. Now we just got through learning the Daf HaYomi in Sanhedrin Tzadik Ches Amid Beis and Tzadik Tes Amid Aleph. And the Gemara discusses there the possibility of who is Mashiach. And the Gemara says clearly Mashiach could be from the dead. Now even if you're going to go ahead and interpret Rashi that it's not the possibility of a person who's dead, it's just kegain. If you want to find out who Moshiach is like, if he's like somebody from the dead, he's like Daniel. That's an opinion. It's not the main opinion in Rashi. The simple opinion in Rashi is that if he's from those who are deceased, then it's going to be Daniel. Daniel is going to be the Moshiach. And in fact, that's the opinion of the Rishalmi in Brochis, the beginning of Perek Beis. I've said this in other videos. The point, though, is that we're learning Daf HaYomi. And when you learn Daf HaYomi, You have to be honest with yourself. You see the blot. You see the interpretation. There is no one who denies the possibility that Mashiach could be from the dead. In fact, the bottom of the page has it that Rav Yehuda says in the name of Rav that in the future they're going to look for another Mashiach, another David. So that means that it's possible that David could have been the Mashiach, but the Pasuk says no, he's not going to be the Mashiach, it'll be someone else. So if Kahana asks Abaye, how could this be? It says, V'avdi David Nasi Aleim Li'elim, my servant David will be the Nasi. So that implies that David is going to be the Mashiach. So Abaye doesn't say, hey, the King David has been dead for 1100 years. Get out of here, Lubavitcher. He doesn't say that. He says, Kigain Keser or Palgi Keser. Yes, David HaMelech will be a Nasi, and he will rise up. But David HaMelech will be a Palgi Keser. He won't be the Mashiach proper. But you see from there that Rav Kahana held, like the Yerushalmi, that David is going to be the Mashiach. And Abaye had to answer his objection in order to be Mekayim and to fill the words of Rav. Because Rav, the Halacha is like Rav in the Bavli. The Yerushalmi disagrees, but the Bavli holds that is going to be a live person, is going to be from the house of David. And that's the psak of the Rambam. But the Gemara clearly says that Mashiach could be from the dead, not just in one place, but in two places. And that's the maskan of the Gemara at the bottom of the page, that it can be, except that the Pasuk says it won't be David HaMelech. But according to Rav Kahana, it will be David HaMelech, and he was already dead for 1100 years. So you see, from the Gemara, clearly, and otherwise as well, from the Gemara, clearly, there is no objection to somebody who believes that Mashiach can be from the dead. So why, I ask you, is somebody who shechts for Sher Haber, or somebody is the Mashiach Sher Haber, that this Rav, this great Lamdan, paskins that he's an Eved Avodah Zarah? Where in Hilchas Avodah Zarah does it say you're not allowed to believe Mashiach can be from the dead? There is no place in the Rambam, no place in Halacha that says you can't believe in it. Even when the Rambam says that if he dies or if he was killed, he's not the one that you're supposed to wait for, that doesn't mean he can't be. Just the Rambam deals with Halacha. Halacha deals with reality, not Ma'aseh Nisim. Resurrection of the dead is Ma'aseh Nisim. When the Rambam criticizes Christianity, he doesn't criticize Christianity for belief in a second coming. The same halacha in the 11th chapter of Hilchos Malachim, Halacha Daled, that David Berger is so fond of quoting and misquoting. And I challenge all my colleagues in Detroit to answer my problem, my question. Where in the halacha does it say that Moshiach cannot be from the dead? You can say it's a Meshagas. You can say that it goes against the Pashtus Aksuvim. You can say whatever you want. But there are two different Gemaras, one of which you've learned yesterday. Moshiach could be from the dead. How, if this is a Gemara, how does that make a person into an Eved Avodah Zarah? Because you don't like his Rebbe? It's your problem. He likes his Rebbe. He believes in his Rebbe. The truth of the matter is, it has nothing to do with the halachas of Avodah Zarah. It has everything to do with halachas of Kesef V'Zahav. If a Lubavitcher can be trusted for Shechita, that means less money for someone else. That's the only reason why a person like this did so. He won't say that consciously. It's hard for him to believe and admit that. But that's the truth of the matter. This is what is called a lekei kesef, a lekei zov, leisasa lochem. Don't make a getchk out of gold and silver, out about who gets the hashgachas and who controls the hashgachas. And this is what we have, unfortunately, today. But my question is there, gentlemen. The Gemara says Moshiach can be from the dead. It says so also in Yishalmi. There is no place that the Gemara says he can't be from the dead. And there is no Rambam that says he can't be from the dead. And all the proofs that you can list from people are dealing with what they call disputations. Disputations were convenient arguments in order to push aside the Christians. But it has nothing to do with Halacha. And I am still frustrated. And perhaps one day we'll change what comes into Detroit. But until then, I have a problem. Maybe people out there can help me solve it.